Hi guys, Stuart from Stuart Scale Models, and yeah, initially I was going to do an update for my Colin Avery Hawker Hunter tribute build, because coming this Saturday it will be 10 years since my father passed away, and as you well know, he was an avid aviation modeller. Unfortunately, I couldn't construct any of the resin cockpit today, mainly due to the fact that I couldn't find my dust mask. Now, if anybody knows anything about resin, it can be hazardous, especially to your lungs, especially if you're not wearing a dust mask. So I've had to put that on hold and order basically a set of dust masks, because the one that I did have seems to have gone astray. So in its place, I've managed to get a little bit more progress done on my entry into Adam Mann and Evan Panzermeister 36 75th anniversary Tiger 1 group build. So here it is, and as you can see here, I've got my trusty Tiger 1 cup. Cheers, with a nice cup of coffee in it. Anyway, let's get off the beaten track. As I say, my entry is this particular kit, which is Dragon's 6600 initial production Tiger 1 with the 502nd Battalion at Leningrad around about circa 42, the winter of 42-43, 3 in 1. And the version that I'm going to be doing is the one depicted on the box art here, which is Tiger 3 of the 502nd Battalion around about winter 42-43. It's started off with a very simple, straightforward build. Now that I've had a couple of Dragon Tigers under my belt, so in one respect I knew how the process was going to go forward. And it did go forward fairly simply. Now I've come up against a couple of issues. One of them being is the fit on the front plate here to the glacis plate right at the bottom here. Well, you can see for yourself in a moment. But anyway, we'll have a look at now and see how much progress I've actually done on the kit itself. So technically, this will be my first update, as it were. Anyway, we've moved on a bit further since my Stu's back at the bench. I've got a little bit more work done on it. Specifically on the back plate here, I've got all the jack assembled and connected to the back ammunition pack here. Basically, the two ammunition boxes are on the back of the plate. I've got the mud guards, which actually all come in one assembly as opposed to two, which are normally in the other two builds that I did. It wasn't so easy to get on. Got the toe chains on the back. Starter motors in here. That's the starter crank up the back there. Tow bar at the back here. And that was all done. Now, in regard to the end ammunition box here, or toolbox, if you notice, I've actually got two bits of sprue in place of the etched brass that was there. Now the reason being, if I get the instruction sheet, if I can find it, I did put it over here because I've just already one take. I ran out of film, but anyway, let's have a little looky here. Right, here we go. Yes, here we go. Right, now on this section here, when you're actually assembling the boxes to go on the back of the hole, as indicated here, underneath either side you've got a little rib here that fits onto the part underneath with super glue, and then you basically have to cut that off from the actual etched brass, because these are both etched brass, and then fit it in. No, I'm not kidding you guys, that is tiny and fiddly as hell. I tried on numerous occasions to get it to fit, it wouldn't. And then both of those parts, which you see on the bottom here, flung off into the carpet monster. Now I could have given up there and then, but I didn't. Basically, yeah, to get around that, I've got the evergreen stretch parts of sprue. Now, I cut off a piece of that, did it at an angle, managed to cut the bottom part here and fit it to either side, which you will see, if I can get it into shot, one part there, another part just there. So that's basically replaced them. Now with these two bars here, which actually hold the ammunition part in place, which is indicated on here, they're supposed to be two etch brass again, MA23, which go onto it. Now trying to line them up, if I can find it, show you that bit, trying to line those two up was a nightmare, and then trying to get them folded over that and into that to connect up and get sighted right was a nightmare, because they just went out of shape and I got frustrated with them in the end. So I took them off. Excuse me, I can have another cup of coffee, bear with me. That's better. So, unlike a certain gentleman who actually remarked on my Facebook page, or basically on my post on the 75th anniversary Facebook page, he said, well, if that's the case, just burn it and throw the kit away. Now, that's not the attitude to take, to be honest with you, because I mean, these kits aren't cheap, and I got this second hand on eBay, and this kit is getting rarer and rarer to find, so I wouldn't do anything as stupid as that. So what you tend to do is think to yourself, right, okay, I've come up against an obstacle, let's think clearly how we can get around that. That's when I got excuse me. Oh dear, I've got a dry throat. I think I'll have another swig of coffee. Sorry about this. That's better. That's when the idea came up to me to get these two strips put on. So I basically formed them either way, folded them over, fitted them out, cut them to shape, done. And there's your solution. And it looks just as good as if I put the ash brass on, to be honest with you, and by the time you get it painted, etc., you're not really going to notice the difference. So there you go. Right, so having done that, I left it last night, and then this afternoon, well, this morning actually, I started working on the frontal armour with the ball mount for the gun, for the MG. Now, another thing I'm going to point out is that Dragon insist, if I can find the page, yes, here we go, it's over the next page, on here, insists that you actually build up all the MG and then fit it inside. Yeah, that's fine if you're going to have the hatches open, and then obviously you're going to see the detail inside. But with obviously my version, I've got the hatches closed because obviously this is going to be a winter scene, so not all the hatches would be open and it'd be bitterly cold. So there you go, they'd be inside the safety and warmth of the vehicle. So basically, I didn't bother with that, all that lark. I just thought it'd be a lot of extra work for nothing at all. So all I did was mount these two pieces and then fit it onto the end fitment here, and then put it through the ball mount, and that was it, job done. So that was that solution. And then I came up against another problem. Now on the front here, where you got the ball mount housing, okay, it indicates again on the instruction sheet, if I can find it, you got 2-part F16 which actually fit on there. Now I got those 2 parts on with a pair of tweezers and a minimal amount of Tamiya thin. Once they were dry, they were then saying that you need to put these 2 parts here. Now they are minute, and unfortunately both of them flung off out with tweezers again and ended up with the carpet monster eating them. So in order to get around that, again, I improvised and basically put 2 separate bits of sprue on the end. So again, you wouldn't really notice the difference, and the detail is not suffered at all. So there you go. As regards the actual vision port for the driver, well, they also say to put a clear part on the back. I don't tend to bother because on the actual real vehicle it's cut way through anyway. So, well, that's what I noticed on Tiger 131. And by the time you get it painted and everything, all it's going to do is get fogged up, and then you're going to have a problem. So I've kept that off. So there you go. Now I fitted that to the upper hole because normally I would just fit that to the glacis, slip underneath, job done. But I noticed, and if you have a look from the back here, this is very warped. So in order to get around that solution, I decided to fix the frontal armour onto the upper hole, as opposed to what I would normally do, which is actually put this part at the front here and then put the upper deck down. Now I could have been having problems with that, unfortunately, so that's why I put that on the front there. But again, we had a problem. If you notice on the illustration here, with the frontal armour, you've got a lip which goes along the front here, where it sits snugly underneath the glacis. Now, I had to sand that completely back until it would actually fit, because with that on, it just wouldn't even fit in the front. So it could be hence the problem with this rear deck, this upper deck being distorted. I don't know. So I ended up gluing it on there just to make it a little bit easier, but as I say, this didn't actually fit because of these two lips here, so I had to sand them right back, and that way, so much so, as you can see here, it's virtually disappeared, and then that just sits finally onto the front plate here, as you can see, without any problems. And as you can see at the front, well, if you can see here, you've got a nice snug fit. There's no gaps or anything, so there you go. That was just basically for ease of construction. Now, if I'd sanded it up the front here with the upper deck, all that weld seam detail would have disappeared, and I would have had to rework that, and it would have been inaccurate. So basically, that's why I did what I did. And then after that, it was just basically a case of putting the grills on the upper deck, and then all the sub-assemblies such as the hatches here and the covers. And then obviously you got the two, you got the load, well, you got the gunner's hatch, and then you got the driver's hatch here. And I kept them down because obviously it's going to be in the dead of winter and it's going to be cold, so they wouldn't have the hatches open. And it's indicated that on the box art as well. But I did actually, I don't know if you can see, actually put the glass, well, actually one of them's drooped down, unfortunately fallen down, but I mean by the time you get it painted, you ain't going to really notice. Yeah, as you can see there, periscope is there as well, so there you go. And then the next stage was to drill it in all the holes for where all the tools etc go. Now, I was quite surprised that we had to do that, considering this is such an expensive kit, and what Dragon Shards they're asking you to dig out the holes. Why they didn't do it when they moulded it in the first place beggars belief. But it is what it is, and that's what I had to do. So there you go. Now, there are some historical accuracies on this kit, unfortunately, and I know that for a fact. On this particular initial version, it indicates that the actual exhaust nozzles are exposed. This was not the case, not for this tank at the time I'm depicting it. Now, it may have been the case when they first went into operation in September of 42, but when it got to the period between, you know, and it was sort of winter 42 into the new year in 1943, this was not the case, because basically, if I get a book, which is the Tyree 1 in action, and I use this, I actually checked some archive reference photos. If you... Well, let me see if I can find the exact photo. Here we go. Now, if you look here, in this photo, it has got the exhaust shrouds on the back, and that is the vehicle at that period of time. So I'm a bit surprised Dragon didn't include those as an option, actually. I was very surprised at that, because historically, if you're going to do it in the Tiger 3 scheme, the winter scheme, this part is inaccurate. It's actually got exhaust shrouds on the back, and this side view of the actual Tiger that I'm going to be building is the case. And if you don't believe me, if I can find another one, yep, here we go. There's another one of that same unit at that time with the exhaust shrouds on. So there you go. So again, if anybody has got any spare exhaust shrouds they can spare, I would be very, very grateful. Because if I could get them in, it means this kit will be historically accurate. If anybody can't, then I'm just going to have to go with them exposed. But to me it'll be wrong. But there you go. Anyway, what else was I going to point out? Oh yes, right. Now, when I was assembling the tanks, there was also another fit issue. If you look at the back here, you can see there are great big gaps right here and here. Now, normally with most of my two-pass builds, this would all fit in flushly. It doesn't. For some reason, it's not. Now, whether it could be where this kit has been in storage and it's been warm and it's warped the plastic is more likely the scenario. So that could be a case. But anyway, I possibly might be able to clamp that down when I actually fit down the upper deck. So we'll see. Anyway, I got the tanks put in, as well as the engine fan blades, and obviously this part at the top here for the covers is etch brass, so that wasn't a problem. I managed to get them folded a-okay with my trusty Master Tools etch brass folder, so that's what I used and fitted them in, no problem. And then obviously with the fitment, when I actually put them in, it didn't line up. But again, as I say, it could well be where the kit has been in storage and the plastic unfortunately has got a little bit warped. So there you go. But by the time you get the upper deck on, you get it all filled, it's not really going to make much odds. So there you go. Then it was a case of putting in the etched brass sidewall details, the upper covers for the tanks, and then you've got the little rod here for when the actual when they used to open up the two grills if they were working on the tanks. And then obviously you got the air inlets at the front there as well, so that was all fitted fairly okay. But that was that really. But there was another problem I came across as well. Now again, Dragon, and I know they're known for being misdirecting their us builders, but they made a bit of a boo-boo again, and they keep making a boo-boo of this throughout all their Tiger 1 kits. Where are we? Oh yes. Now if you look on the instruction sheet here, where you've got the actual upper part of the actual air vent, they're indicating a pipe goes on the top there. The only problem with that is when you actually put it on there and try and get the lower deck on, it will not fit, because that is blocking it. So I've decided to take them off. And again, once you get the upper deck down onto this, you're not really going to notice it. But if you put those two pipes in, you will, because it's just not going to go down. There's just no way it's going to fit. So whoever thought that one was a bit harebrained, to be honest with you, but there you go. Was there anything else I needed to cover? Not really. I mean, the rest of it was fairly straightforward. Oh, another thing that was historically inaccurate on this kit, which Dragon are insistent on that you do, even for the version that I'm depicting, is that you've got the brackets there for the front, for the spare tracks, and they go on the front of the glacis plate. Now, that's wrong. Not for the vehicle that I'm depicting, of the period I'm depicting, because again I can prove this. If you look here at the same version of the Tiger, and this was in September 1942 when it first came into service, there are no tracks at the front or at the sides of the turret. They didn't have any spare tracks on these vehicles at all. Okay, and to prove my point, even at the period depicted, if you look on this photograph here, there are no tracks either at the turret or on the front. So there you go. And there are even more photographs, even this one of them all lined up with their camo on. There are no tracks on the front there. And even on this one, no tracks, no tracks, and again no tracks. So that really proves a point. So I am going to keep that empty to make it more accurate. So there you go. So basically guys, that's as far as I've got on this my entry into the Tiger 1 75th anniversary group build. I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's nice to get back on a Tiger again after about nearly when was the other one finished? I think I finished the other one around about March, so we're looking back about what, 9 months, and I was determined to get a Tiger build done again this year. So that's as far as that's got at the moment. Now the next thing I'm going to do, obviously when it comes to the interior, is I will be priming it, but I'll be using the UMP oxide primer to make it more accurate to the period, because that was basically what they covered the tanks in when they were actually being built as a protective barrier. So I might even do it on the actual tank itself. I don't know, we'll see. But knowing me, I'll probably go with a good old black just to give it the shadow effects. But I should really do it in this as well, because it is the most accurate colour. So we will see. So, as I say, that's it. That's my update. Now, I'm going to get back to my coffee. So, cheers everybody. I'm following all the builds on the actual Tiger 1 75th anniversary group build page. There's some great builds going on out there, so keep up the good work guys, and some very inspired builds. In fact, I've just seen one completed Tiger 1 vignette where it's going through a graveyard, and he's actually created the mist coming off the ground with some cotton wool, and that really looks spooky, and that looks awesome. That really did look awesome. So guys, whoever you are, that was brilliant, mate. Well done on that one. Anyway, I've waffled on for nearly about 25 minutes, so I'm going to finish now. So until the next time, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll speak to you soon.